le apa o le mena o le ngangi e talo e pe o apa le ai le yo olaina fai so au tau fil i le CH2 pe e foi se so sonio sunga fai fe au tu so le matau
ne sa do yeno sunga le fe
o me uma langi ngi ya lu
mana
be ai wo mai tau to ina a tonu hoi ai o le pongai na ua mai fai maranga u pa ua leo le me a malanga ngai ku e ulo na tua le me anu ai ulo ia luma i le me o tona o te tau mamo fau na o tangata sa vali luma o le atina e alu luma o me uma le olanga ne te leilo sisi me ola ne te o tatu talo no na le ula ai a oso le ula o le me leilo ai o masani ai e lana mi o le alu tua o mtoi sawa e le o na winga o na masani malanga le e a alu e su e me ai tulo e alu ngai lum e tolo lum ai a o lo lana malanga ya ona lu e oso itu e se itu le ai po ngai na mai tau ato ina o me o mali e o lu mai se le me alu ko o tanto to fa le nu fa le calcia fa le aina fa le malo mo tanga e tau ona e u fa per tani e vole fa trai le alu ngai lu mo me ya tupu me ai o nei pe o le ula se tu se te fai so taf te yo e tu ne ia va ku ia te fangu le ia ke o ko mai ka le ku ia o se tu pe ai por pongai na te te foi masani fai va le ita ai po le alo ta sa mo lo ta fia ia pe la sa ule la sa nga yuka ai oso le ia nga tai ta sa la taita ma tau le yo so taita le so sonia tu
no sa no e fa tu sala ia si to fa se ta to fa le mau
e tai pe vo le upo le funga ngutulu e tai tu sa va pena
fa funga ngutulu
e se le mesa tu lo va nele fa funga la tu e se me fa mele e se le ngukule fa mai i a ko fo e se le nguku fa mai le ai
tele
o pisa va pena
me wa como muisi va pe i o ponga inga ve vesi kalmanga ka ko inga le ke fa funga ngukulu ke le ami como
ya po se me voi ave me le upo voi le palai faya ina to fa faya ina to fa por fefe pi o to fa kaunga fa lango ye se tonu la ke kaunga na tupu ya
fe al fa
ku ko ngale pena
ya telefo ia la fese ka fa pena ele ono le ya se wo fa wa ko inga ngole lima vai fese se ka ia ole e wo fe alo fa i me fai o se ai ko
le si foi la o ngata o ta mai to o le ula e se e tu se ta foi mo le ma fonga fa pe a sol buti o sol muli ta tonu o le mea na o fai mei o le nala fa o le sol muli la o le tele va ve o sol muli fai mei fo ele si fa upunga se ali pe o le upule te sau ta fi pe le muli ola ma le mai ta tu fai le bu o isi foi la ia mea o le nganga moni ai lo au ta o feeling ana le o le sami o le se e tu va tu se tu sa pe tele va ve le se e tu ai o sol muli
a sol muli no nga fa ku solo le ula se e ku
pe o upu masani o pe se e ta te fa longo o le au mo ka mo le tine walu e to sol muli ia o fa tu se o lo
Ala sa u le pese vo le a liu ya pepe. Piva pe ya liu. O tu sa o me le ula se tu. Ta al kupa e failo na lua. Awe I tae manua mao.
Ngalu na fafu.
Ina na fotu I mai o le a sau mai lo lau se ku.
Se o ia ta te tonu o tau ia. Il tei.
Il pese. Tau le pese pe tau.
Le tau le tei. Ai mali.
Ya malo. Le ala mea. Wa pe o tatou te iu te le ne te le alo mo na upu. O le sila le upu fa le alo. E tui e le ala mea. Fofo I le ala mea. Fe mai sa urua. Fa manga.
Ole siri no fefe ia o te fefe ni mea tau le ala mea. Ai pi siri mau upe ana se isi por kalame fa ali li ata o le mea. I tupula. Al mesio tamaiti. Wal tele ana o mea mtau tia le sami. Ele I loa tatu whanau. Tu lo walo le tunu. O de whaila utala o whatustu satu le urua I temi toa o ai le mea tau ala mea. O tele I loa e matautia. A peanta ita ai e a o mea a tatia mai nei e whai asina tele o mea mea. O lona lanu e mu. A o na tala e ese mamai. Mtoa I matautia mamai. Ele va pevo la tasi se tala. Tasi se tala. Ai le wingo le upu I la u falong e to ina mo lo tai ro o te fai. A tuia le ana me. A tuia I mtoa tinga. E ona ho ile le fingota.
Tala ole.
E ona. A o la na tuia o tong fiti. Ia nto fa talianga le ana me. Wa a fao le ana me. O tala I lunga. Ai a talianga, eleni tala. Ai pini me hui leo le fe.
Pini mata susu le fe.
Ia, pini me pena. A ola na fa talianga. O na tu watu le o lo tawai le na tua I lo na tua. Toi tua I. Na e fa alongo le ua mimiti a e fingota le. Tawai. Tu sarara o toi mimiti a ia le ona o na mai andei. Ia pe o le whamarmanga nai, o te ita I loa I fingota ne. A tuia I le ana mea, e toi fofoa I le ana mea. E tau le a vese whare mai foai, po se fo mai, po la se si tonga fiti. O le tonga fiti a le ana mea, ia lai le ana mea. Ia o te ita le a tau fide. Pia na whafsi mai lau fio.
E se o fina ngaro le fio.
Ele ai o lea ua whapupula atu ele sunga le whaiwhiau. Wa ai fo ia ele lala mea pe o le whaula ventupu I motu whanganea le sa au ina ele mahalo le mea le. E tau fwena langona e tūpulanga o le tunu. O le tele ei o mea he whitau I ai le ngana le o le sanga. I se whalala le e tupu I sowal. I le mawhenga I malunu, po le mawhenga I malwhaiwhia. Ia te oe ala le sao le ainga po ia liu le tofa. Toi o to e fōr whalala vele. Rono inga le whalala ven tupu I lo wal. Ai toi o to e. Mai te lea me whitau I ai lea mua whitalainga o le sang. I leo se me tau whapulaina I alo mwhana o le tunu. O le mea lea pe an saunga tu whaiwhiau. A e manua. Ian toi furi lea lo nar. Ia. E le pa ila o le lea ngā kerisiano. E a tātou a mi o whale tonu. Ia. A o le alo le tua lea whamanga lo tātou a le pa ila o le mea lea. E toi e furi mai a ia.
Toi fō lea la mea lea.
Le lana.
E te mitante Pio fa winga ino lup, wa le mal mal dei. E te mi tanto te mati vai le lup. E te mi va pena wa le o sa no se le su se si vai a sa ola. Ta to yang sala. A fa mangalo Yesu. A fa Yesu ta ola. A ta tu mai la si pito. Il fa ta wa ino lup fa che sia. E te mi tanto te mati vai le lup. Ai toi no fa lo pum toi fa ma o tanto. Pe tanto te mati ti vai fa il tino. Ai tanto te o fa ya na. E upu ma sa no fa lo toi. Tupu me ave. Ai me sio me to ese o no Yesu. Pe se ta u va pe na o ile
Maloa. Maloa o ele upu. Malo. Tela.
Olha o teu teu motori de olha fava.
Tau motori de olha fava.
Eu não mato teu teu me fai em juare teu juara o teu lo tu não.
Fio ai tori ma ve.
O winga lo. Ni te ua.
Tela.
Ua fa winga se sta si de la u teu talanga. Ele fa tu seina le kai si ile le angol patu me. Ele fa penale le folingo le kalisia matutui. Ai pe o se nganga vo ile pe o sole. So ko teni ngi me fa loko. O ko mo foka ko mo fa ma fa wange yo ka ko loko le papa ko le pisi tu le anga. Pisi tu le anga vo le. Se ia la vo fe mai me ma fukanga finge la fe mai le. Ai ile temia na. A foi tanto te fo ai ma le nganga fai tau lang. Ya la si la mai de lang. Na pe se terminava pe o kako makiva o mea mea. Ya tanto te ma o no la o si fia mai ne. Ma le nganga falo.
Pe cioè ta pena la vai lo tu lo tu. Io e pe fo le nganga o tajo por kalame. Ole wa a whalangorango mai le whaletele il whaleo. Ia, e leise me tua il whaleo. O na whalangorango le whaleo il tūno. Ia whalangorango fo il tūno. E leise me tua il tūno. Ia o na whalangorango le vao. Whalangorango le sami. A whalangorango tūlola il tūno ma le whaleo il sami mane. E leise si me tua whalangorango ia. E tali mai. Pela o le tātou porkalame fo i tarua isa. Lo te mantu. A toi fa solo mai tuanga i lupa. E tali il tunoa il whaleo. Tali il whaleo o e tautua il maut. Tali il maut anga i le langi. Ian toi fa sanga mai le langi i luai mai. Fa manu anga ngai. I le vao ma le sami ma le vani minimo. Olo ta vidi le ola o le samo. Ia.
Sawa. Tautua ele se mta upu whaingofi. Ia upu e whai mo tautua. Tautua ma ta vela. O la ala tu inga tautua. E afu. E le moe. E pe se matui tui o se ala mea. I be ta ua lau saunganga. Ia.
E tue fufo.
E tue fufo. E tue fufo.
Ia whaftai tere mo tantu tele noanga fo i nei fiafi. Sio tantu whaivaro filima mana. Whasosoa ianga o tātou ngana mai te sami. I le whatasimai o lau whionga la sau. Ia whapefo i lau sunga le li whaiwhiau tā ua le tātou tele noanga. Whaua poina fo inisio upo o ngana. Ia ua fo i whalongolongo mai tūpulanga. Ia me se fo i lewa loa le tunu. Tālu sia sa yeso na o ngā mō lau tō whafonga lu tātou pō. Ia ma jo whamana tuatu i o tātou por kalame masani la nei e iloa o e lau ngana malawa nganu. Pō o sulua te tasi o malawa. O lewa yaso, ma lewa yaso. Ia e fo into ese mani le atoa. Ia le ilawa se whaiwa asa ma le mau. Ai fo ini au tō whautuanga. Ia whafsota i mai le tātou ofisa i le humanities. I le ono tolu whavaru fitu o. Ia e mōla nei teimi. Ia mātou te faccio fa soi fuantu. Manuia il po'.
malawa nga noo. O le nei polkalame wa tufa atasi al ofisa le KVZK ma le America Samoa Humanities Council. O le polkalame wa fuafuaina e toe fafango ma faamanatu ai ma toe a oa o le atu noo i ana tu manga i whanua a e maise le ngangana.
Talofa, olo e mai mo mai le tautua le ala talua le KVZK TV, Pango Pango, America Samoa. You are watching KVZK TV Channel 2, Pango Pango, American Samoa.
Samoa. Samoa is a Polynesian island group and an American territory. It lies in the tropical Pacific Ocean, south of the equator, just east of the international dateline. A land of sun, sea, warmth, and changes.
Good morning.
The Polynesian ways of life are changing to meet modern conditions. In the midst of a changing world, one thing remains constant: a child's need to explore. Through the efforts of the Early Childhood Education Program, Samoan children now have a place to explore and enough qualified people to help them learn.
Talofa pesi, manel por tese pe. Talofa ese, vai sa ofitau. O lele sama rei, manaya rei, talofa rei, vai sa tifa rei. Famanu, talofa famanu, manel por tese famanu, vai sa ofitau famanu. Talofa talalei, o turea. Talalei vai sa tifa, tifa malu so no fa. Talofa pesi, manel por tese pe. Amele se mei talofa fa yao.
This is Siofu. These children are from the village of Putinga. Not long ago, these children would have been spending a great part of their formative years just trying to keep quiet and stay out of the way of older people. Now they are an educational program designed to foster the early intellectual and physical development of Samoan children. Although the program was initially created for 3 through 5-year-olds, children may often wander in and are always welcome. Siofu, like most of the teachers, is a parent. She is not a professional teacher, but she has received paraprofessional training. This is Siofu's folly, or house. All teachers and village parents donate the use of their folly to the Early Childhood Education Program. This is a greeting song composed by the teachers. Talofa means hello. The games and activities of the class sessions help the children move from concrete reality to abstract reasoning, from counting their friends to the idea of numbers. The classes are designed to use local materials, familiar objects, and village teachers to help the children learn and increase their understanding and use of language. The Early Childhood Education Program has been centered in this small borrowed building in the village of Utale. A program of education for young children and their parents was envisioned in December 1967 by Dr. Betty Kendall Johnston and Mrs. Utita Savali. Now, through their efforts, there are about 2,500 children attending classes. That's about 85% of all those who are eligible, and more than 160 teachers, both mothers and fathers.
Now we have almost 160 ECE centers, as we call them, village centers, in every village of Samoa on all the 5 inhabited islands.
Dr. Betty Johnston, founder of Early Childhood Education in Samoa, has been interested and involved in the education of children, parents, students, and teachers for many years, both in the United States and many foreign countries. To make early childhood education meaningful to Samoan children, Dr. Johnston searched for a qualified Samoan to help build the program and carry on in later years. Utita Savali was chosen and now heads the program. She has a graduate degree in education and has worked for many years with both teachers and children. Most teachers for early childhood education, or ECE as it's known in Samoa, don't have a college degree. Less than 10% have finished high school. In choosing candidates for paraprofessional training, Dr. Johnston and Utita Savali have set standards which they feel best meet the needs of the Samoan children.
The first point was warmth of personality. The second was that they had clear Samoan speech. The third one was that they wanted to learn. Were you really interested in coming? The fourth thing here is that the person was respected by the other members of the village. Because believe me, if they're not, they wouldn't send their children. And then the fifth one was interaction with children.
The paraprofessional training of these teachers is a continuing process. Even the supervising teachers meet with Utita Savali and Dr. Johnston for consultation and training. Training and use of paraprofessionals makes it possible to operate on a limited budget and still give a high-quality program to the children.
I will certainly stand up now after 5 years and say paraprofessionals are marvelous with children. They can learn many, many things that children need. I think the important thing is you have one or two people who have direction and know what's going on and what children's learning is all about. And then you can use hundreds of other people. You can't just go out and say, do it. They have to have guidance and support. And I think you have to nurture adults just as you nurture children and help them with confidence. We can't expect our teachers to do a program that is too highly sophisticated. We began with a few things, and then we'd gradually add them for the teachers so that you build confidence in yourself. Success breeds success.
After the 10-week pre-service training was completed, the teachers were screened for final selection. One test included making up a learning game for the children, using simple, easy-to-find materials, and to be able to tell the learning purpose of the game.
It could be a simple thing like tossing a ball they'd made out of palm fronds into a pasteboard box. But what's that doing for a child? Now, they didn't have erudite answers, but they had to have enough there that there was a beginning. And then we told them we'd bring out our 4 books that we then had made into picture books. And they could choose one of them. And they would work with the children. They would sit with the children and talk about the pictures in the book. Well, you know, it didn't take you 3 minutes before you could separate them. Some had something and some didn't. And if the teachers have that something, then you can go on and build skills. But if they don't, if they somehow lack this warmth, this being able to talk a little bit with children, I think one is pretty much wasting time, because I don't think you rebuild those into people after they're grown up as easily.
The entire group of ECE teachers and supervisors meets with Dr. Johnston and Utita Savali throughout the school year. Utita Savali holds weekly meetings with the supervising teachers and conducts bi-monthly in-service meetings with all ECE teachers. Just as the children are introduced to learning concepts one at a time, these paraprofessionals are introduced to teaching concepts one at a time, gradually gaining experience and self-confidence.
I believe in it. Let them do it. Explain and let them do it. If I feel that they don't understand and I have to do it again, I would love to see them try this idea in their own teaching, and I will help them to solve the problems that will come up. I'm a person who believes so wholeheartedly in have them do something, and from there I can help them along. One of the problems with that when they see me demonstrating something, they will do exactly what I did. Yeah.
About 30% of the staff has to be replaced each year. Many of the teachers move away from American Samoa or take higher paying positions elsewhere on the islands. Although teacher attrition is a problem, looking at Samoan society as a whole, the turnover in teachers has its benefits. ECE training helps the teachers up the career ladder. It also means more Samoan adults are being educated to the needs of their children in everything from prenatal care and nutrition to ways of stimulating intellectual growth.
I think one of the most powerful things of our program is the fact that all these people are village people, and they're all parents or just about to be parents. And so to me, we're getting right to the home. And hopefully some of the things they're learning about things they do with children will rub off on their own children at home.
It has been the experience at ECE that the presence of onlookers has little or no effect on the children. They quickly forget about the observers and become engrossed in their activities. In contrast, many early childhood education programs in the United States use mirror windows and separate observation rooms. Here at ECE, the child's involvement eliminates the need for these devices. Loretta has difficulty discriminating the color purple. Utida holds up purple and blue crayons to help her tell the difference. The crayons are stuck upright in a section of banana stalk. This way, the child can see all the colors clearly and see the relationship of one color to another. Utida Savali demonstrates a new teaching idea to the group with several variations. She asks the child to use the concepts bigger and smaller, inside and outside, longer and shorter, and to identify various geometric shapes. Normally, a child would be introduced to only one concept during a class session, but for the purposes of demonstration, and because the child is responding well, Utida can work with many ideas.
lei tele. Amaya tau le polo lai titi. Lai titi vai fa lei polo ya. Amaya tau le polo lai titi. Ya lei tele. Ya vai I ofe ya. Amaya tau le ofe mi la volo ya ofe. Le lei tele. Amaya tau le ofe pupu.
Every morning, ECE teachers gather different kinds of flowers, leaves, vegetables, or fruit, which the children are asked to identify by name as well as by color, shape, and size. This not only promotes language and the development of concepts of ordering and classification, but also acquaints the child with the environment. This is a period when children are eagerly labeling things, an important step in becoming one with their world.
I think that anybody who can be called the name of teacher, which is a high title, should know enough about how a human being learns and grows, so that no matter where you were dropped in a whole earth, you could begin by looking around you and helping either children or older people begin to learn because you understand how they develop and learn. And I think this is the key to working at any place, that if you understand that, sure, you can take something out of your kitchen, out of your folly. You can make all kinds of marvelous games. You can match likenesses and differences with flowers and leaves and stones and shells, anything you have. You don't have to have a little box kit.
Davita, tau amai kunga la au, tau amai te wila, ele te Davita. Ui e te le poto Davita, kelea, tau amai suni, ele te le kelea, ma nei te le ya wa uma fai.
Siofu, with the help of her son Atapana, will use the stalk and leaves of this banana plant to make a miniature folly.
Umulanga kipi. Le tele al na. Anga tele tua niu ma meo lau niu la langa ai.
In addition to the 3 hours spent daily in class, the teachers must gather and prepare learning materials.
Sai uma tau lalo, alu uma lalo. Ha, le tele.
Using local materials to stretch budget dollars is another way ECE maximizes its resources. Per child is about 1/5 of that side.
You do not have to have expensive store-bought, quote, or manufacturers-made materials. Some of them are great when you can have them. But people who maybe haven't had quite enough depth of background, isn't their fault probably, they're put into a job maybe without enough background. And so they're helpless. They're helpless to buy whatever somebody sends in a catalog. Maybe this will help your child learn. It really probably won't.
Ya, mangaya. Ele tele nei fale. Yo uma manaya. Simoli. Ya. Ul manavale tamal aiga. Ya. What ye malaya? Yulu le. Ibang pausay tala tatou le la fai. O le tala le ainga, ia o le fale leo le ainga.
ECE teachers use a toy folly along with family figures and stick-like animals to tell stories. The teacher may make up a story, or she may use the figures to let the children tell their own story. The children often give the figures the names of members of their own families and act out scenes from home life. Activities of this sort help the child develop his imagination and improve his Samoan speech. It also helps the teacher better understand the child's behavior.
Yeah. If I do not for ye, so for ye, Silomatua, Emono for ye, happy to the Tonuya, Yelteno, Malele. Papelo or Fatu, Ali Emo Malele, I know me after Nitao, my Meloleo, or him. What we know for a Kukal Tatu me, our way, Fatu, tell me, I will tell Mangalu Malue, I will find Merola Meola. Yeah, a lot of a Melmal, my nail quite. Leo nail ainga ainga. Leo mafo follow ainga with the town of Malolo, what vai ala so. Or semi for ne, or am more nail ainga. Why last time it is in Pensa? That's a solar pessi to a more ainga pet. Tulunga pessi, Sanga im from well ainga. Nah, I'm more for lil ainga.
Infants are not put away in separate rooms. They can see and hear everything and have frequent body contact and love. In an infant's early months, this results in rapid learning.
I think in motor control and agility, they seem to have a great deal early. Possibly, maybe because they're right on the mats on the floor. They have no sense or fear of falling from a higher elevation. And when they can push up, they do. They're not restricted. They can push up and begin to move around and creep and crawl. But about 10 months, there's often another baby on the way or there. So that this child, when it becomes a movable, walking object, can be in the way more. This investigating of a young child of around a year age to 2 to 3 is probably the highest and keenest learning that he has. It's investigating with all his senses, touching, feeling, smelling, seeing, listening, to learn and to explore and to begin to solve his little problems. How do I get from here to there? How do I reach this? How do I hold on to this? How do I get it if it's out of my reach? At this age, these children, the majority, are turned over to another person. Very often it's a little bit older child. The way of caring for the child is, in a sense, to keep him quiet and out of things. So if the child is investigative, 9 times out of 10, he will be thwarted in this, sometimes by a good sharp slap over the head. So that if he's very smart at all, he learns that he doesn't explore, that he sits still, and then he doesn't get hit. The effect of that is that as you do not investigate, as you just sit, the intelligence goes downhill.
At about 9 months, infants begin to differentiate the sounds of significant people, the people who care for them physically. As children begin to pick up these sounds, they learn language. It is important for parents to talk with their children and not use baby talk. Parents should talk with a child about what they are doing as they do it, because it helps the child make sense of the words. Studies have shown that children learn most of their language from adults, not other children. A child's peers do not pronounce words very clearly, and their use of language is not very sophisticated. If a parent understands that a child needs human contact and interaction, a great deal can be accomplished in the home environment towards language development.
The majority of things that are important to a young child's learning can be in a home where there's really very little money if a person really understands what the child needs. Children need the human contact. We have not done our program by television because we feel that young children must have this human interaction to be able to talk with somebody. And that's very different from having somebody talk with you than to talk at you. And many children are just talked at, yelled at, do this, do that. We realize that the 5-year-old, by that time it's too late for us to do much good. It may seem like a very young age, but the learning that's gone on earlier than that is very critical. We need to get to this language development and to concept development long before 5.
Not all learning materials are gathered in the village. Melee has waited until low tide to look for the fe'e, the octopus. Samoa may not have the variety of sophisticated teaching materials available in other parts of the world, but it does have an abundance of natural materials.
Ele ola me yorfe. Ave. O ave. E fia averfe, o lo to fia averfe. Ese si atelo. Ese fulu se feita la ta tope se fulu. Kasi, lua, tolu, pa, lima, ono, situ, varu. E fia averfe. Varu. Ola alma en alerfe uea. Ole ulu. Ola? Ole ulu. Le ulu e ni mata ole me ulolfe. Ini masa. Wai sisi na telo me otu wai masa fe. Esi ya turu pe. Ta fa sino mal me e masa fe. O ie masa fe. Ya vai le ya la fa sino masa fe. Ai masa yo fe le titil mai. Ai to. La ya. E sia masa fe. Ai tau. Kasi. Le tele. Kasi lua la mele uwa ya. Ole ulua, le ulul mele uwa ya. Saulaya, peka, sau umaya tasi avel fe, olea, ole le peka sau peka ol avel ol mele sau ol avel fe, ah, le si foi avel fe. Aí lá se tu vê lo ferme não foi ni forte. Tu foi que não foi tu se fez a pes por fer tono não foi. Tu não. Esse tu ya la fascina ni foi ol fe, ah, ya vai tu, leia.
Each week, a variety of land and sea animals are brought to ECE. Today, in addition to an octopus, Siofu has a small shark caught by her son. The children name parts of the body and compare the anatomy with their own.
Why? Si fatete me lale awal mali. Fatete me uma utol awal mali. Le. Oi, fapenale awal mali el samia. Ya. Lal ma yang awal mali. Ola? Eh ni matal mali. Saula oi. Tavita. Sa fasino maya ya matal mali. Sa wasta mo tavita. Fel matal mali. Sia matal mali tavita. Tasi. Hai tau efia. Sia mali si mata. Le ya. Ella telingo le me hola al mari. Si habla especie fascino mal telingo al mari. Olea. Uy. No venga la fa luego fue el mari a. O va fue un telingo. Ahí la tengo mucho le me hola al mari. Mana ya Rebecca, tengo mucho al mari. Le la me fa un ay el mari no. Fa un ay le. Oh. Certo. Sabe fascino me hacer si el mari. ¿Qué me dice si el marido? ¿La lengua al mela? Le estamos el tupu. O lo está. Así no vaya a estar por fiel manaba al marido. Le. La lengua al mela y favoría. Álvaro sale le lo está. La lengua al mela al marido. Ole pa, ola la mele se tono le pa ol mali. La le mesa o ale se tono le ano pa. Ole a.
Fasifua scrapes clean the spiny rib of the coconut frond. With a length of foul bark tied on, the rib is used for stringing ula, the Samoan necklace. Coconut fronds are commonly used in Samoa for weaving baskets for temporary use. To make a learning material, Seiola weaves a basket without a bottom. He will also weave a ball to be used with the basket to make a Samoan-style basketball game. This one is for the ECE Center in the village of Tula. Activities such as these increase eye-hand coordination and help build confidence. Many times in games outside the classroom, the younger children are pushed aside by the older ones. At ECE, even the smallest and shyest children have a chance to play. Oloreni is one of the youngest teachers in ECE. Unlike most, she is a high school graduate and is not yet a parent. Like the others, she has completed 10 weeks of pre-service training and several days of teaching with a teaching supervisor present before she was allowed to conduct a class on her own. In addition to the pre-service training, each year all the teachers attend 2 weeks of preparation and review before the village centers open. During the school year, there are in-service meetings for 3 hours twice a month. In addition, the teaching supervisors, who are Samoan paraprofessionals, regularly visit the centers to help the teachers. ECE teachers are both men and women, ranging in age from young adults to grandparents in their 60s. Age does not matter if their health is good and they can relate to children. All must be reliable and well-trained, for they work alone in villages that are often remote. The ECE classes are not held in school settings. They are in Samoan homes. The intention is to create ECE centers in the villages so that the children will be familiar with the folly and can walk safely to class. In order to reach children living in isolated pockets, Utita Savali goes to them in a program called Home ECE Center.
There are still areas of Tutuila who do not have a village ECE center. There may be reasons. There may not be a representative attending a teacher training session from that village, or there are only few children there. It's not enough to make up a center. The people who are staying home for the reason of looking after the children cannot leave the children by themselves and come to attend the training session. They can't unless I go out to different homes and try to do something to teach those people the kind of things that they could do with the children every day. We do have village centers in Whangatonga and Pantao, but the homes are scattered, and some of the families are far from where the ECE centers are. They cannot accompany their own children every day because they feel they have other chores to do. So I feel that to avoid this, I should go out and help these parents who are staying home.
Piki, alon. Au mai e piki leo e tutusa le leo ma le leo mele sa atu. E tau e piki pe fia le awhai o meye o la au ye luai.
Most of the mothers who have children now do not have education like I do, or like other Samoans who had the chance to go away and get more education. So since I'm a Samoan, I think to serve my own country, I have to help the mothers and fathers to see or to realize that there are other ways of treating their own children, and they are the first teachers of their children.
Ya palo con leila ba. Kai lotu. So ma ya sa me lua pa na mo wai o le leo pa le leo le. Wa e palo mo ina. Ka lai.
The home ECE training is similar to the training all ECE teachers receive. The parents observe teaching of a beginning group of young children. After the initial weeks of observation, the trainees act as teaching assistants. The trainees observe village teachers in actual village centers. But the major vehicle for teacher training is demonstration teaching by Utita Savali, preceded and followed by discussion. Dr. Johnston feels demonstration teaching works far better than lectures to get across abstract teaching ideas. Utita advises the parent to keep the objects that are not in use hidden. The learning materials should be used, then put away. During regular visits to the home ECE center, Utita guides the village parents through a series of lessons. Each lesson stresses a particular learning concept. Group workshops are another part of teacher training. The teachers and trainees meet to make learning materials, to compose songs and stories, to practice manuscript printing in Samoan, and to learn to keep class records.
One of the ideas that exist among the Samoan mothers and fathers, they think we are too old. We are not fitted to teach any children at all. This is another message that I've been trying to help the mothers who are beyond 35, 36. They are never too old to teach their own children. And to talk with the children, to use what is available in the home as learning materials. I feel that this is the most important thing that I'm getting out of this program.
The gathering of teaching materials can be a lengthy process. Perhaps that is why prepackaged materials are so often popular in other areas. Many times, however, teaching materials can be found from other work the family does. These women are cutting pandana sleeves to weave into floor mats for their folly. After gathering the leaves, the women walk back to their village, where the leaves are dried in the sun for several days. Later, they are split into strips for mat weaving. In addition to floor mats, dry pandana sleeves are used for making baskets. The leaves are rolled together to make them easier to handle. Many people take it for granted that all Samoans have the traditional skills, such as weaving baskets or fine mats. However, there are many Samoans who have never learned the old crafts. When the teachers gather, as they have at Matu'u village, experienced basket makers show the others how it's done. This is another way in which the early childhood education program is aiding the preservation of Samoan culture. These baskets are used in all the ECE centers to hold learning materials: clay, crayons, flowers, shells, seeds, and scissors. 3 kinds of seeds are used by ECE.